With nonsense like this, perhaps it's a good thing there are new debate rules that could rein him in. The 90-minute matchup will take place in a TV studio with no audience, and each candidate will have his microphone muted until it's his turn to speak. But who are we kidding? You know, I know, we all know that a muted mic won't keep Trump quiet. The Biden campaign already seems to be preparing for that.
I mean, who knows what Donald Trump is going to do at any minute or any time. I'm going to bet that he's going to talk over the microphone 100 times like he does because he's a bully. But the best way to fight a bully is to stand up to him. And Joe Biden has done that before. He's going to do it again.
Yesterday, Trump told NBC News that he has, quote, no strategy for this debate except to, quote, make America great again. Translation, I'ma wing it. As for President Biden, he's immersed in debate prep at Camp David with advisors, including his personal attorney, Bob Bauer, who will once again play Trump in mock debates. In an interview with me yesterday, Bauer described preparations as, quote, an attempt to really give the opponent a feel for what they would likely face. And if past his prologue, we know what to expect from Trump. Utter chaos. Like the kind that prompted this response from Biden at a 2020 debate.
Vote now. Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that question?
The question is, the question is,
Justice, radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Trump's annoying tactics are nothing new. Back in 2016, during his second presidential debate against Hillary Clinton, Trump stalked her around the stage like a malevolent land shark as she addressed voters. And his childlike behavior continued in their third debate during a heated discussion about Russian President Vladimir Putin.
From everything I see, has no respect for this person.
Well, that's because he'd rather have a puppet as president of the United States.
No puppet.
And it's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
So with that kind of petulant, unhinged behavior coming at you, how do you even begin to prepare? My next guest is the perfect person to answer this question. Joining me now, Philippe Reines, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State and former spokesman for Secretary Hillary Clinton. He also played Donald Trump in Hillary Clinton's 2016 mock debate sessions. Philippe, welcome back to the Sunday Show.
Thank you.
Two things we need to talk about. First thing, this accusation that President Biden is going to use performance-enhancing drugs, this is not new. He did this. Trump made the same accusation against Hillary Clinton in 2016, calling for her to take
and he did it after State of the Union. And the real reason he's doing it is because he very stupidly, along with his campaign and the Republican Party and the right wing writ large, has gone with this talking point that Joe Biden can't stand up straight for 90 minutes, that he's going to fall over at the podium. And they're realizing that that's actually not a good thing to keep saying because that's not what's going to happen. So now, with a few days left, he's trying to do this 180 to explain why, oh, he's going to be perky and really good. It's the same exact thing after the State of the Union. They didn't think he would make it through 75 minutes. Not only did he make it, he knocked it out of the park. And they sit there and they think, uh-oh.
You know, as we go, head into Thursday, and the president's at Camp David, and he is hunkering down and he's preparing. How has Trump changed since you prepared Hillary Clinton for a debate?
Well, so in 2016, I would start with the fact that his campaigns have changed in the sense of what his message is. Because ultimately, a debate, while it's in front of the largest audience you'll be speaking to during the general election campaign, it really should be consistent with what you're saying day to day. In 2016, fundamentally, he was talking about immigration. He was talking about Obamacare. He was talking about jobs going south. Obviously, he was attacking Hillary left and right, but there was a consistency between his debate performance and his campaign message. If you fast forward to 2020, the guy had no message. He was just an angry, angry man. He was constantly aggrieved. He was upset about Russia. He was upset about COVID. And, you know, the shut up moment was well-deserved because he just was a malfunctioning appliance that was spewing all these things. So the question is, you know, some people say which Donald Trump shows up. There's only one. And he's right. He doesn't have a strategy. What he has is a list. He has a list of things that are always on his mind, always pent up, because you pointed out a really important part of this. They haven't seen each other for more than 1,300 days, and they really don't like each other. Think about how that works for someone you don't like.
Oh, please. Somebody I don't like, they are dead to me.
So there's three parts. There's what he complained about in 2016, what he complained about in 2020 about his first term.
Right.
There's what he complains about now, about his trials and about being gagged, and I'm sure he's going to complain about being muted, pretending he didn't know. But then there's a third bucket of policy. Not that he has suddenly, immersed himself in the minutia, but I believe he thinks one way to go at the president is to throw numbers and data that are probably lies,
right,
and just throw data at the wall, hoping that it overwhelms the president. That's what I would guess. Now, the thing with the list is he doesn't have an order, so you don't know what comes out when.
So in an interview you did with Politico in January of 2021, so in the lead up to,
something.
Yeah, something. It talks about the lengths you went to prepare to be Donald Trump. You wore 3-inch heels so that you could raise your height. You wore knee pads and a back brace to be straight, big suits and everything. And another thing you did after watching hours upon hours of tape of Donald Trump is that you noticed he never makes eye contact. And that with Secretary Clinton, in one debate session, you did not look at her for 5 straight hours. What was the significance of that?
He's fundamentally a coward. I mean, if you look at Mitch Landers saying that the way to deal with a bully is to fight back, that is what he does. And part of that is he has a hard time going at some of the personal stuff. Yes, in 2020, he went at the president about his brother and about Hunter on the conspiracy stuff and digressed into some other stuff. But generally, he is a coward, and he shies away from it. And I think the president, if you really want to understand what Thursday night is going to be look at 2020, the first debate. It's going to be probably Joe Biden similar, strong, vigorous, having stuff to say about what I've done for you and what we're going to do together going forward. And just listen to this guy malfunction. Mm-hmm. But there is this element, we haven't had two presidents in 134 years try to steal each other's job back and forth. And their terms, it's like a baton. The economic numbers overlap. They can shape these, they can present these, they can carve these in all sorts of ways. Like you could have the smartest economists up there, and they wouldn't be short. And that's why, it's as an aside, and then I'll stop, is the muting actually might help the moderators more than anyone, because it'll give them a moment or 90 seconds to just retreat into silence. And did he just say that about inflation? Because I want to follow up on that.
All right, real fast, because we're out of time. There's something else that was pretty interesting in that Politico interview, and I'm quoting here. Today, Reines takes great pride in being able to predict what Trump might say, do, or tweet before he does it. And it says, your former colleagues say it was uncanny watching you nail moments in debates before they happen. Do you still have that ability to predict?
I had an advantage because I was a New Yorker, but also in 2016, no one was really paying attention. They thought he was a joke until he wasn't. He is the most predictable, unpredictable person. I think it's pretty safe to say he is going to complain about the muting situation, even though his campaign agreed to it, even though the moderators 20 minutes earlier will have said the campaigns agreed to this. He's not, it's easy to say what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. And there's things that, I would, if I were him, I would do that I don't want to say out loud.
Please don't.
Also, it's helpful in that story, as you saw, it's helpful if I don't take my medication to fully channel him.
And one other thing that's mentioned in that Politico interview from 2021 is that you pointed out to the campaign that he complained about his mic during his own campaign.
He had been doing that in primaries, and, he has been complaining about teleprompters recently. Mm-hmm. He has this thing about complaining about technical aspects of his appearances as yet another way of being aggrieved. They're coming after me to jail me. They are trying to gag me. They are muting me. How am I supposed to, what is Joe afraid of? Let me speak.
I'm sure that's exactly what we're going to hear on Thursday night in Atlanta. Philippe Reines, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday Show. And joining me now to continue this conversation, Megan Hayes, former special assistant to President Biden and a Democratic strategist. Megan, welcome back to the Sunday Show. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm just wondering, How cognizant do you think the Biden campaign is about the incumbent's first debate curse? And of course, I'm referring to President Obama famously bombing his first debate against Republican nominee Mitt Romney in 2012. Do you think the folks gathered at Camp David right now have that top of mind, taking that seriously?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he hasn't debated in 4 years, and he happened to debate Trump 4 years ago, so that's an advantage here. But he hasn't debated in 4 years. Of course they're taking that seriously. Of course they're looking into that. But the one thing about Joe Biden is he prepares, and he shows up on game day, just like he showed up on the State of the Union. He will show up, and he will be, he will put his best foot forward for a debate. He knows the importance of this himself.
How do you think the president will respond if Donald Trump goes in on Hunter? Because we're talking about an opponent who has no sense of shame, no sense of guilt. Everything and everyone is fair game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the president will have to take a deep breath. As we all know, his family is deeply personal to him. But I think the president will handle it much like he handled it in 2020. No family in this country has not been impacted by addiction. People can sympathize with that. Hunter was going through a terrible time when he was charged with when this gun incident happened. He is now convicted. The president has made it very clear what he will do and not do for Hunter and his legal troubles. So I do think, he'll have to take a deep breath. He can't let his temper get the best of him here or fight back as like a father. He has to fight back here as being a president.
So then a great segue to what I was going to ask you next. Should we expect to see President Biden go on offense? I mean, after all, he's running against a convicted felon.
Yeah, I mean, the president is notorious for not being bullied. Like the president stands up to bullies. That's part of who he is. He does not like when people are being bullied. So I do think he'll be on the offensive a little bit here and push back on him, but he'll push back in a respectful way. He won't make it personal. That's just not who he is. That's not authentic Joe Biden. So, he will be on the offense. He also has a great record here that he can highlight for the American people.
As you well know, Democrats' default setting is panic. So do Democrats have any reason to fear that President Biden will not meet the moment on Thursday?
As someone who's worked for him for over a decade, I don't think so. I think he always shows up. The president has a great record to run on. He has a great vision for the next 4 years. So no, I don't think so. But that's not, most people are Democrats, and the Democratic Party is going to do what they're going to do. That's predictable. And
so since they're so predictable at panic, anything that happens that is a mistake will be blown up and amplified. So I'm just wondering, can President Biden recover if he makes a mistake, like forget a name or freezes or something else that will send Democrats into a panic?
No, I think that we also need to look back historically here. People, when the cameras are on you for 90 minutes plus, you are going to make mistakes. You're going to not use the right words. That is not a mistake that's going to decide this election moving forward. I think the mistake here is where if President Biden doesn't lay out his vision for the future and doesn't also remind the American people what he's done for them for the last 4 years. He needs to draw a contrast here. Mm-hmm.
So then, everyone's going to be watching the other guy, both camps watching the other guy to see if that person makes a mistake. Who has the most to lose if they do make a mistake?
I think President Trump has a lot to lose here. He is a chaotic person. He was a chaotic president. I think that the more he talks, the more he is going to remind people how chaotic his presidency was. And I think that is a huge, huge liability for President Trump, former President Trump.
Mm-hmm. All right, Megan Hayes is sticking around for Sound Off. And still to come, the fight for reproductive rights. Democrats warned that Trump could use a 150-year-old law to ban abortion nationwide if he's elected again. I'll speak with Minnesota Senator Tina Smith, who's leading efforts to repeal that law later in the show. But first, my Sound Off panel is here to talk about the latest news, including some of the contenders to be Donald Trump's running mate trying to prove their loyalty, even though Trump says he's already made his decision. Don't go anywhere. More of a jam-packed hour ahead on The Sunday Show.
You got better things to do than clean out clogged gutters. Call Leaf Filter today and never clean out clogged gutters again.
Leaf Filter's technology keeps debris out of your gutters for good. Guaranteed. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER today or visit leaffilter.com.
Nothing dims my light like a migraine. With Nurtec ODT, I found relief.
The only migraine medication that helps treat and prevent all in one.
To those with migraine, I see you.
For the acute treatment of migraine with or without aura and the preventive treatment of episodic migraine in adults. Don't take if allergic to Nurtec ODT. Allergic reactions can occur even days after using. Most common side effects were nausea, indigestion, and stomach pain.
It's time we all shine. Talk to a healthcare provider about Nurtec ODT from Pfizer.
You know what's brilliant? boring. Think about it. Boring is the unsung catalyst for bold.
What straps gold to a rocket and hurtles it into space? Boring does.
Boring makes vacations happen.
Early retirement's possible.
And startups start up.
Because it's smart, dependable, and steady. All words you want from your bank. For nearly 160 years, PNC Bank has been brilliantly boring, so you can be happily fulfilled. Which is pretty unboring if you think about it.
Saving for retirement was tough enough.
And navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we keep a disciplined approach with your portfolio, helping you through the market's ups and downs.
What about communication?
We check in regularly to keep you informed.
Which means you'll help us stay on track?
Yes. As a fiduciary, we always put your interest first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
At Grainger, we know dealing with the unexpected is part of your job description. And you made a promise to keep the line running, to power through the downpour, to be the one who always gets it done. And our promise is to help you do it with professional-grade supplies for every industry, plus same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. Because you can't predict the future, but with the right partner, you can be prepared for it. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every time I needed a new phone, I had to switch carriers.
I told him, at Verizon, everyone can get that iPhone 15 on them.
Now that I got a huge storage and battery upgrade, I'm officially done switching.
New and existing customers get iPhone 15 on us when they trade in any iPhone. Verizon.
After 50, sore joints, they can slow us down. I'm not ready for that. I found a secret to turn back the clock on my stiff, achy joints by years without products that just temporarily hide my symptoms. My secret? Instaflex Advanced.
Get a complimentary sample by texting QUEEN to 215-215.
Instaflex Advanced targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness with a unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found nowhere else. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, I had better knees in just 1 week. You gotta try it.
Instaflex Advanced is the #1 selling joint brand at GNC, but you can only get your complimentary sample by texting QUEEN to 215-215. Plus, text now, and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles absolutely free. Text QUEEN to 215-215 today.
Tomorrow, Mika Brzezinski speaks exclusively with Vice President Kamala Harris and Hadley Duvall, who played a key role in the re-election of a Democratic governor in deep red Kentucky. Hear how her story could impact the presidential race. Tomorrow on Morning Joe.
This is a story about getting away with treachery and coming back stronger.
These people don't disappear, they just go underground.
Rachel Maddow presents Ultra, Season 2 of the chart-topping original podcast. Listen now.
I think what you're going to see is obviously the CNN moderators are going to try to do everything they can to go after President Trump to try to get under his skin.
So tomorrow I'm sending a letter to President Biden, to his physician, Dr. O'Connor, and I'm CCing his entire cabinet. I'm going to be demanding on behalf of many millions of concerned Americans right now that he submit to a drug test before and after this debate, specifically looking for performance-enhancing drugs.
Maybe these two dudes should go first. That was Congressman Byron Donalds and Congressman Ronnie Jackson, an actual doctor, parroting Donald Trump's dumb demand of President Biden 4 days before their debate in Atlanta. Megan Hayes is back with me, but also joining Renee Graham, opinion columnist and associate editor for the Boston Globe, and Stuart Stevens, senior advisor for the Lincoln Project and author of The Conspiracy to End America: 5 Ways My Old Party is Driving Our Democracy to Autocracy. Thank you all very much for being here. So, Renee, you go first. I would love your reaction to Byron Donalds. Oh, okay, so Renee cannot hear us. Stuart, I hope you can hear us. Your reaction to the nonsense we just heard.
Well, look, I know a little bit about performance-enhancing drugs. I wrote a sort of infamous article for Outside Magazine where I took a bunch of performance-enhancing drugs. And I can tell you, I don't know what he's talking about. It's crazy. Nothing like that is going to make you smarter or better or know more about the country or more likable. it's really, this is a classic example of projection. I mean, this doctor with a dubious history of drug use, certainly Donald Trump is, many, many, many articles have been written, stories about his use of drugs during The Apprentice. It is the oddest sort of silly mascot stealing kind of level of debate that for the President of the United States. And I think it just sort of shows the hollowness of what they have to talk about.
Mm-hmm. And Megan, what do you think? Did you work? Was Ronnie Jackson the White House medic when you were at the White House?
He was, but when we were the vice president, Doc O'Connor was actually the vice president's doctor then as well. So he oversaw the vice president's office. So I never dealt with Ronnie when in travel and stuff. But I was going to say it's rich coming from a man who was investigated by the United States Navy and sanctioned for his use of how he was giving out prescription drugs to people. But also, it's also rich because this is also a president who does not drink. To imply that he would then use drugs is just like something that's a little bit out of bounds and like a wild assumption here. But I think they have to do anything to sort of lower expectations after all of the cheap fake stuff they've been doing for the last couple weeks.
Right. I'm assuming we still don't have Renee back, but let's switch gears and talk about the debate, and let's listen to what Mitch Landrieu, senior advisor on the re-election campaign, what he expects from the debate. Watch this.
It really doesn't matter how Donald Trump shows up. If he comes in unhinged like he is most of the time, or he sits there and is quiet, people are going to know that he's a twice impeached, convicted felon who's been found to have defamed somebody, sexually abused somebody, and gone bankrupt 6 times. They will always know that.
And so, Stephen, he says people are going to know. Does he mean that the president is going to go after Donald Trump in that stark a language, or is he talking about just all that information is out there for anybody who wants to see it?
Well, I think he's talking about the fact that, these are facts. These are givens. And there's nothing that is going to change when he walks out on the stage. Personally, were I advising President Biden, I would say that he should go on the attack from the very beginning. They're not going to have opening statements, I believe. But whatever the first question comes to him, I would say, I'll answer that question. But first, I want to say it's a disgrace that Donald Trump, 34 convictions, felony counts, is on the stage running for president. This is the Oval Office we're talking about. He should not be in this race. It's a disgrace. I'll answer the question. So I would go straight at the attack.
Megan, you've worked with the man. Would President Biden actually do that?
I'm not sure that he would do that right out of the gate without being provoked to do that. It doesn't seem like something that's not authentic to who he is, but you never know. That might work. But I do think that, talk about having a list of things to complain about. Mitch just laid out the negatives for Donald Trump pretty succinctly there.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things we've been reporting since last night and again today, Donald Trump has said he knows who his vice presidential pick is, and he hasn't told that person, but that person is going to be there on Thursday. So Lord only knows who's going to show up. There's 3 of the people who NBC News is saying are on the short list. Let's play what Governor Burgum, the governor of North Dakota, had to say on CNN earlier today.
Well, I think we have to just look at the fact that President Trump can win this race regardless of who his vice president is. And I think everybody, the whole country maybe knows my background, which is both success in business and success as in the executive branch as governing.
Stuart, everybody knows his what?
Let me tell you, there are cricket stars in India that are better known in America than the governor of North Dakota. I actually think that Trump might pick him because he's sort of the least threatening of the group. Mm-hmm. I think his best pick would be J.D. Vance for lots of reasons. J.D. Vance has proven that he will say anything, do anything. He will debase himself to any level. And he's also from Ohio. So I think he would be the best pick. But Donald Trump rarely does the best thing. He does what makes him the most comfortable. And J.D. Vance is a smart guy and knows some stuff about policy, and both of those do not apply to Donald Trump. So I think he may pick this guy from North Dakota that nobody's ever heard of, and after he loses, no one will ever hear of again.
Also, the governor of North Dakota is, relatively speaking, a wealthy man. And you've got a presumptive Republican nominee who's got a lot of legal troubles and a need for a lot of money. Everybody, don't go anywhere. My sound-off panel will be back with me after a break. You're watching The Sunday Show.
Welcome to the Waiverhood.
The Wayfair vibe at our place is Western.
My thing, darling, shine.
Gardening.
Some of us go for the dramatic.
How didn't I know Wayfair had vanities in tile? How?
This? Yeah.
Do you have any ottomans without legs?
Sean, you'll flip for the food cart.
In the Waiverhood, there's a place for all of us.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
And when I got there, they have the sushi like
This is Clem.
like sushi, classy.
Clem's not a morning person,
I'm tasting it.
or a night person, or a people person. But he is, and I can solve this in 4 different ways person. And that person is impossible to replace. You need Clem. Clem needs benefits. Work with Principal so we can help you help Clem with a retirement and benefits plan that's right for him.
Short, but I'm confident, you know.
Let our expertise round out yours.
Oh, what a good time we will have. You can make it happen, girl.
Try dietary supplements from Voltaren for healthy joints.
Annika, ich habe die Bombe gefunden.
Okay, Johann?
Das sollte ein blauer und gelber Draht sein.
Schneid den blauen durch.
Die sind beide blau.
Vision works. See the difference.
Okay, ready to watch this? 1 second, I gotta finish my laundry.
Jess, it's girls' night.
1 second, I use Rinse.
What's Rinse?
The company that will pick up, wash, fold, and deliver your laundry and dry cleaning at the touch of a button.
I do not trust other people with my laundry.
Rinse guarantees your satisfaction. I've been using it for months now with no issues. Okay, let's watch this.
Wait, I'm gonna do my laundry.
Better hurry.
Done. All schedules.
Sign up for Rinse at rinse.com to get $20 off your first order. When you purchase a pair of Bombas socks, tees, or underwear, you also donate one to someone facing homelessness. One purchased equals one donated. 100 million donations and counting. Visit bombas.com and get 20% off your first order.
Did you know Sling has your favorite news programs for just $40 a month?
My favorite news for just $40 a month?
My favorite news for just $40 a month? News for $40 a month. Sling lets you do that.
We all know that we'll eventually need a will. Eventually. How about right now? Trust and Will has taken the process of creating your will and made it easy. Like while you're lounging on the couch, easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys, but customized by you. One question at a time. All documents are state-specific, legally valid, and start at just $199. That's not a typo. Find the plan that's right for you at trustandwill.com.
Our daughter just bought her first house.
All by herself.
So we went to go see it.
She knew exactly how she wanted everything.
But then you pointed out the gutters.
You think you've raised them right, and then...
She didn't know. You have to call Leaf Filter.
Leaf Filter's patented filter technology keeps debris out of your gutters for good.
Parenthood is such a wild ride.
It's a lot easier with Leaf Filter.
Join millions of satisfied homeowners. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER today or visit leaffilter.com.
Sup?
Who are you?
I'm your inner child. Get in. Listen, horsepower keeps you going, but torque gets you going. Oh, now we're torquing.
The Dodge Hornet RT, the totally torqued out crossover.
First, we did the impossible. Then you ate so many of the impossible that we completely ran out. And now, they're back! The footlong cookie is back at Subway.
And my sound off panel is back with me, Megan Hayes and Stuart Stevens. Okay, on a serious note, yesterday, my colleagues on the weekend interviewed the president of the Heritage Foundation, and just listen to his answer when he was asked if Heritage would accept the results of the 2024 election. Watch this.
Is your organization going to accept the results of the 2024 election, regardless of the outcome?
Yes, if there isn't massive fraud like there was in 2020.
What does that mean?
If there isn't massive fraud.
Do you believe that there was not massive fraud?
There was massive fraud. We have an election fraud database that has documented that over years.
And just to be clear, that database he's talking about includes just over 1,500 proven instances of voter fraud since 1982. Just putting that out there. Stuart, why can't he just say yes?
Because they don't believe in democracy. It's not complicated. This is why they like Putin so much. They want elections to be performative but not decisive. Look, the Heritage Foundation was, and sadly still is, sort of an intellectual beating heart of the Republican Party. And the Republican Party has become an autocratic movement. So what he gave is the same answer that you would give in Russia. Same answer, well, it's even worse than what they would give in Hungary. They don't believe in democracy. So it's not surprising that they say that they're only going to accept the results if they like the results, and that means if they win. And that's not what it means to be a civil democracy.
Megan, last night, Donald Trump at a rally in Philadelphia. I have no words for what you're about to hear, America. Listen, just listen to this.
I said, Dana, I have an idea for you to make a lot of money. You're going to go and start a new migrant fight league. Migrants, only migrants. And then at the end of the year, the champion migrant is going to fight your champion. And I hate to tell you, Dana, I think the migrant might win. That's how tough they are.
Megan, this is just some... I'm speechless. This man is running for president of the United States, and he talks about human beings like they're chess pieces or worse.
I was just going to say, these are people, not animals. This is not something that's appropriate to discuss people who are coming to the United States for a way of a better life. That they're going to do cage fighting. It's disgusting and horrible. But he has there's no low. Like every time you think you're at the low with him, he goes lower. So it's disgusting and inappropriate and gross. Again, human beings, not animals.
Right. Stuart, any reaction to this?
Look, Donald Trump is obsessed with this kind of macho stuff. He keeps talking about it. This is a guy that has a role model of Hannibal Lecter. Life always imitates high schools, and he's the kind of guy that, would huff and puff, but when it came down to showing up behind the Waffle House on Friday night, he wouldn't be there. The man's a coward, and this is just, it is disgusting. But look, this is really about who we are. It's not about who Donald Trump is. So he's made it clear. He's not going to change. He's on a downward trajectory in every sense, mentally and otherwise. But who are we as a country? Mm-hmm. Is this really what we're going to embrace? Ronald Reagan announced in front of the Statue of Liberty. His last speech was an ode to immigrants. So now we're gone to this place where the center-right party in America is advocating basically some sort of Roman Colosseum spectacle. I think it's a base character test of what America is today and who we are.
I'm going to play one more bit of sound and just going to tell you the context first, and then we're going to play it. Donald Trump was talking about how he has done more to defend America and religious freedom from Marxists and communist forces, and he has the wounds to prove it. Never mind that Presidents Lincoln and Kennedy were both assassinated. But now with that context, listen to Donald Trump at the Faith and Freedom Coalition conference, what he had to say.
And I have the wounds all over my body. If I took this shirt off, you'd see a beautiful, beautiful person. But you'd see wounds all over me. I've taken a lot of wounds, I can tell you. More than I suspect any president ever.
You know what? I'm just going to let that sit and breathe like a fine, wine there. Stuart Stevens, Megan Hayes, thank you both very much for coming back to the Sunday Show. And I want to apologize to everyone that we could not get Renee Graham back, but I want to tell you that she has a four-part series in the Boston Globe that takes a look at the 20th anniversary of the landmark decision in Massachusetts that legalized same-sex marriage there 20 years ago. So please go to the Boston Globe website and read Renee Graham's great work. After the break, tomorrow marks 2 years since Roe v. Wade was overturned. Now Democrats are targeting an archaic 19th century law that Republicans could use to justify a national abortion ban if Trump wins. Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota joins me next to discuss why she's leading the effort to repeal the Comstock Act.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years. When I have customers come in and ask for something for memory, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's effective, does not require a prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works, and I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good for me. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance, and I saved hundreds. With all the money I saved, thought I'd buy stilts. Hi, honey. Hey. Oh, look, no line at the hot dog stand.
Yes.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
With so many choices on Booking.com, there are so many Tina Feys I could be. So I hired body doubles to help me out.
Splurgy Tina loves a hotel near Rodeo Drive. Oh, Tina.
Wild Tina booked a farm stay to ride this horse.
Glenn Close?
With millions of possibilities. You can book whoever you want to be.
That's my line.
Booking.com.
Yeah.
You were diagnosed with thyroid eye disease a long time ago. And year after year, you weathered the storm and just lived with the damage that was left behind. But even after all this time, your thyroid eye disease could still change. Restoration is still possible. Learn how you could give your eyes a fresh start at TEDhelp.com.
My frequent heartburn had me taking antacid after antacid all day long. But with Prilosec OTC, just one pill a day blocks heartburn for a full 24 hours. For one-and-done heartburn relief, Prilosec OTC, one pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn.
Awkward question. Is there going to be anything
left over?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
My kids don't know what they want. You know who knows what she wants? Me!
With Empower, we get all of our financial questions answered, so you don't have to worry.
Empower. What's next?
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted because you'll have power when you need it the most.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And special financing and low monthly payment options are available. Call or go online now to request your free quote. Power your life with Generac.
At Grainger, we know the ones who get it done wear a lot of hats. That's why we're always here for you with professional-grade products and the knowledge to help answer tough product questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tomorrow is the second anniversary of the dreadful Dobbs decision. That's the Supreme Court ruling that stripped away a nearly 50-year constitutional right to an abortion established by the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision and ushered in an appalling post-Roe reality. More than a dozen states have banned abortion completely since Dobbs, and others have severely restricted access. And we're still waiting for the Supreme Court to hand down its decision in the Moyle case, which could restrict abortion care even further. At issue is whether state abortion bans override a federal law protecting the right to emergency life-saving treatment. A ruling against it would put even more lives at risk. But that's not the only way abortion opponents are working to turn back the clock. Republicans want to enforce a long-ignored 19th century law called the Comstock Act, which could ban the mailing of abortion pills nationwide. Enforcement of the Comstock Act features prominently in the plans of Project 2025, the extreme blueprint for a second Trump term from the Heritage Foundation. But one Democratic lawmaker is fighting back with a bill to repeal the 150-year-old law. Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota calls the Comstock Act, quote, a backdoor national abortion ban and warns, quote, it's too dangerous to leave this law on the books. Joining me now is the Democratic senator from the great state of Minnesota, Tina Smith. She's a member of the Senate Health Committee and a former Planned Parenthood executive. Senator, great to see you again. Thank you for coming to the Sunday show. You know, Senate Republicans have already blocked bills protecting access to contraception and IVF. So why are you introducing the Stop Comstock Act?
Well, thank you, Jonathan. It's so good to be with you. And I want to raise awareness of how there is this plan by these MAGA Republican extremists to ban access to medication abortion without ever having an act of Congress. I mean, this outdated law has been ignored by folks as a zombie law for decades and decades, and now come to find out that these extremists are planning to use it as a way of banning abortion. And I want people in states like Minnesota and Nevada and places where they feel as if their reproductive rights are protected by state law to understand that there is this plan to take away those rights without any action of Congress. And I think that this is a mobilizing issue for people. And frankly, people are really angry when they hear about it.
You know, the architect of Trump's Project 2025 shared his stance on abortion yesterday. Listen to what he said on MSNBC.
I just want to know, if I may, though, because I do ask the question.
Why are we talking about the people
I just want to know, do you believe
legislation that abortion can happen until 3 days after the person's born? This is an absurd framing by this network.
That is an absurd assertion. As a person with an actual womb, I'm telling you that does not happen. Does Heritage and Project 2025 believe that a woman should be able to have an abortion if her doctor says that she needs one? It's a yes or no question.
Abortion is not health care.
So
abortion
that is
is
a
the
no?
murder of a human being.
Senator Smith, your reaction to hearing that?
Well, this just gets at the core of what Donald Trump, with his abortion bans, his state abortion bans, want to accomplish in this country, and with a national ban. You know, we believe that women should have control over their own bodies, their lives. They should be the ones who make these decisions. We trust women. That's what President Biden thinks. They clearly don't trust women. They believe that they should be the ones who are controlling the decisions that people make about their health care. And I'm here to tell you that most Americans agree with us and not with them. They want the freedom to make these decisions for themselves.
You know, the Supreme Court, as you well know, is expected to rule on emergency abortions possibly this week, depending on what the court does. Here's what one woman in Texas said about doctors withholding treatment options during her pregnancy.
They would get halfway through a sentence and then just stop, scared because of what the laws meant and how the laws of the state were just haunting these hospital room visits. And it wasn't their fault. They would pause and then just say, I'm so sorry, I can't say anymore.
Senator Smith, you're shaking your head in just what's going through your head?
I mean, I am thinking about these judges and politicians who act as if they're the ones in the emergency room with these women who are potentially facing life-threatening health conditions. And in the case of Idaho, where we have this ridiculous case, they're basically saying we should be the ones who decide whether a pregnant woman is able to get access to the emergency medical care that she needs to save her life. Because that Trump abortion ban in Idaho says abortion only if a woman is going to die. Think about what position that puts physicians in. And that's why 1 in 5 physicians, OBGYNs in Idaho, are leaving. Women are unable to get the health care that they need because physicians can't practice in an environment where they're fearful of being prosecuted, of being held criminally liable, and facing jail time.
Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota, thank you, as always, for coming to the Sunday Show.
Thank you.
And up next, a critical race in the bid to control the House of Representatives. Why Democrats are hyper-focused on California's 41st district. Congressional candidate Will Rollins joins me next to explain why he's trying to flip a long-held Republican seat for the second time. Stay with us.
Everybody needs a little magic. Everybody knows.
Chewy, a Citi client, uses Citi's financial expertise to help drive its growth and keep its supply chain moving, so more pet parents can get everything they need right when they need it, keeping more pets and families happy. For the love of moving our clients forward, for the love of progress.
My moderate to severe plaque psoriasis held me back. Now with Skyrizi, I'm all in with clearer skin.
Things are getting clearer. I feel free to bare my skin, yeah, that's all me. Nothing is everything. Whoa.
With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months, and most people were clearer even at 5 years. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to.
Now's the time. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
I'm a bee, and I bumbled my way into your car.
Buzz.
But this hive isn't big enough for the both of us. Boo!
Oh, wow, what a buzzkill. And if you don't have the right auto insurance coverage,
paying for this could really sting. So get Allstate, save money, and be protected from mayhem, like me.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Ensure with 27 vitamins and minerals, nutrients for immune health, and Ensure Complete with 30 grams of protein.
If you spit blood when you brush, it could be the start of a domino effect. New Parodontics Active Gum Repair Breath Freshener. Clinically proven to help reverse the 4 signs of early gum disease. A new toothpaste from Parodontics, the gum experts.
If you have chronic kidney disease, you can reduce the risk of kidney failure with Farxiga, because there are places you'd like to be. Farxiga can cause serious side effects, including ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration, urinary tract or genital yeast infections, and low blood sugar. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Farxiga and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, an allergic reaction, or ketoacidosis.
Take a pea-sized amount, apply it like a lotion. Pits, under boob, thigh folds, butt cracks, feet. This water-based cream, I'm telling you, it's invisible on the skin. It works like a dream. Why didn't someone think of this sooner?
When we say it'll be on time, they expect it to be on time.
Turn shipping to your advantage.
Keep those expectations with reliable ground shipping.
Thanks, Brandon.
With USPS Ground Advantage.
A tight race for Congress is shaping up in California's 41st district, and it could impact the balance of power in the House of Representatives. Republicans currently have a razor-thin majority, and Democrats only need to flip a handful of seats to get it back. Democratic candidate Will Rollins is a former federal prosecutor who ran for and lost this same House race 2 years ago in a surprisingly competitive race against Republican incumbent Ken Calvert. Calvert was first elected in 1992 and is California's longest-serving Republican in the House.
No longer stands for any of those things. Just extremism and the politics of division, which have kept Ken Calvert in office for 32 years. I'm a lot of what the Republican Party used to be, but isn't anymore. I care about your freedom and your security.
Joining me now is former federal prosecutor and Democratic congressional candidate Will Rollins. Will, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday show. So, as I mentioned, this is the second time you're going up against Congressman Calvert. You lost to him by about 11,000 votes in 2022. Why are you running again?
Well, that was the first time I'd ever run for public office, and I actually spent most of my career in law enforcement, worked as a federal prosecutor in counterterrorism at the Department of Justice, which was a job that I absolutely loved, got to work on cases involving MS-13, the Sinaloa cartel, fentanyl traffickers, and then eventually, unfortunately, had to help track down about 24 of the people who attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. And I originally decided to run for Congress. I always joke kind of impulsively, but the truth is that I was just mad because Calvert voted to decertify the election and eventually called for dropping charges. So I had only about 6 months after my primary to run in 2022, and we almost beat him in the midterms. And I know we can get the job done in 24 because we're continuing to build a coalition of not just Democrats, but moderate Republicans who believe in the rule of law, people like my grandparents. And I know that that's the kind of coalition that it takes to flip a purple district like this one.
You know, one of the things that could possibly help you is redistricting. You're running in an area that used to be reliably red, but as I mentioned, redistricting ahead of the last election means your district now includes Palm Springs, which has a significant gay community. And as an out gay man who has criticized your opponent for his record on LGBTQ+ issues, do you think it will help you unseat Calvert this time around?
Yeah, look, I mean, this is part of my life story. I walked into my first class of the day on September 11th, 2001, saw the North Tower collapse, thought about enlisting in the military, but was petrified of being outed, like a lot of kids at the time, and eventually had to find a different path into service. That's how I ultimately made it to counterterrorism at the Department of Justice. And people like Ken Calvert, who are still in office, who have some of the worst anti-LGBTQ voting rights records of anybody in the House, voted against letting us serve in the military, voted against letting us adopt kids, voted against the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Act. I mean, that's a powerful motivator for our community. But the truth is that equality and freedom for gay Americans makes this entire country stronger. And I think people see that across party lines. And I think that's why we're going to end up flipping this seat in November.
You know, Donald Trump endorsed your opponent, and you wrote on Twitter, "We deserve a representative who cares more about the 750,000 of us in Riverside County than one convicted felon in New York." Will Trump be a factor for voters in your district in this election?
I mean, I think he will. And I think people, more importantly, like Calvert, who are in the House of Representatives, that have started saying dangerous comments about the FBI being infiltrated.
The most luxurious Ram 1500 ever, and the most advanced Ram heavy-duty pickups. Hurry into your local Ram dealer and make the most of your summer with great deals plus no payments for 90 days.
Now during the Ram Make This the Summer event, get $1,000 cash allowance plus finance and get no monthly payments for 90 days on the purchase of most 2025 Ram 1500 trucks.
Someone needs to customize and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Wait, there's an elevator?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The UPS store is not just a shipping store. We're the shipping store. The Leave the Packing to Us store. The We Understand this is more than a package store. We're the pack it, ship it, guarantee it store. The Peace of Mind store. We're the right around the corner. Go to We Ship It All store. The UPS store. Be unstoppable. When we pack it and ship it, we guarantee it. Find your local store today and ship with confidence.
When you're the leader, disaster cleanup and restoration, how do you make like it never even happened happen?
By being prepared for anything.
Serve Pro, like it never even happened.
An alternative to pills, Voltaren is a clinically proven arthritis pain relief gel which penetrates deep to target the source of pain with non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medicine directly at the source. Voltaren, the joy of movement.
Sometimes Jonah wrestles with falling asleep, so he takes ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, and wakes up feeling like himself. Get the rest to be your best with non-habit-forming ZzzQuil. Better days start with ZzzQuil nights.
Clogged gutters can cause big problems fast. Until now. Call 833 Leaf Filter today for your free gutter inspection.
I've had terrible flooding problems on my porch. Now I understand why.
Right now, Leaf Filter is offering a free inspection on your schedule. Leaf Filter is a permanent gutter solution, so you never have to worry about costly damage from clogged gutters again.
Call us today and schedule your free inspection.
To schedule your free inspection, call 833 Leaf Filter today or visit leaffilter.com.
You're their favorite aunt.
So we decided if anything happened to us...
We want you to take the kids. Oh, you guys.
Doesn't count.
This is giving me the fuzzies. But what you need is a will. Trust and Will makes it easy. For as low as $199, you can quickly create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. What's cooking?
Twins.
Twins. Start your will at trustandwill.com and make it count.
A programming note for tomorrow. You can see Mika Brzezinski's full interview with Vice President Kamala Harris on the second anniversary of the Supreme Court's decision to reverse Roe v. Wade tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern on MSNBC. That's tomorrow on Morning Joe at 6 a.m. Eastern. And that'll do it for me. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next Saturday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Follow us on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads using the handle @WeekendCapehart and catch clips of the show on YouTube. You can also listen to every episode of our show as a podcast for free. Just scan the QR code on your screen to follow. Don't go anywhere. Ayman Mohyeldin is next.
Good evening. Tonight on Ayman, all but a rerun. Trump and Biden debate again this week. Republicans hoping the former president reigns in the vial. Democrats hoping the current president hits Trump where it hurts. Plus, Trump says he's picked a VP and continues to ramble on the issue of naming them. And there's been fake videos claiming to show a wobbly Biden on the world stage, but there is a true problem for the president, and his name is Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm Ayman Mohyeldin. Let's do it. We are now just days from the first presidential debate, and though it may appear like a rerun, this is far from a repeat. Thursday's standoff between President Joe Biden and Donald Trump comes with huge stakes for them and for all of us. For the better part of a year now, polling has shown this race is essentially tied. And depending on the national poll that you're looking at, Trump has held a narrow advantage. As the Washington Post highlights, Trump's held a slightly larger advantage in some of these key battleground states, which certainly has Democrats nervous. As for the rest of us, the voters, this will be the first time that we see Trump and Biden in the same room since they last debated in 2020. And of course, since then, you would recall we've seen an attempted insurrection and the former president criminally indicted and criminally convicted in just one of his many cases. More cases, as you know, are pending, and viewers this week will also notice the debate being hosted by CNN rather than the usual nonprofit commission. There will not be an audience, certainly not a live audience, nor will there be opening statements from the two candidates. This is also the earliest debate in U.S. history, which pundits say leaves the door open for missteps to linger in the news longer. The stakes even higher when you consider all the ire we have had over their ages. Biden is 81, Trump is 78. Because coherency and competency are high bars for this debate, preparation is key and hardcore. Biden is doing intensive debate prep with top campaign staff and White House advisors this weekend at Camp David. A former Biden